Have you ever thought about what it truly means to live a fulfilling and independent life as you grow older? It's a question that weighs heavily on many of us, especially as we enter our later years. What if I told you that where and how you decide to live could dramatically impact not only your happiness and peace of mind, but also your physical health and overall well-being? It's not just about proximity. It's about making choices that allow you to nurture your independence, preserve your dignity, and continue living a meaningful, enriched life as you age. The decision to live with family, move into a senior community, or live alone is a significant one, and it's not always an easy choice to make. It's about more than just where you'll be. It's about how that environment supports your ability to remain autonomous, happy, and healthy as the years go by. In this video, we'll take a deep dive into the key factors that influence these decisions. You'll hear personal stories from individuals who faced these choices head-on, alongside expert advice on how to maintain your physical, emotional, and financial stability as you age. These insights will highlight why it's so crucial to have control over your living situation, ensuring you're living a vibrant, stress-free life, no matter what stage of life you're in. We'll explore the true meaning of independence in your later years, what it looks like and why it's so important. We'll also touch on practical steps you can take to make your home safer and more accessible, so you don't have to sacrifice comfort for safety. Finding the right balance between family, solitude, and community is essential for thriving in your golden years. As we age, it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving in the best way possible. This video will give you the tools you need to navigate these choices with confidence. By the end of this video, you'll walk away with both the knowledge and the inspiration to make informed decisions about where and how to live in your later years. You'll learn how to embrace the freedom of independence while safeguarding your health, happiness, and future. Whether you're already making this decision or just beginning to think about it, you'll find valuable tips and real-life stories that could change the way you approach aging. Don't miss out on this invaluable guide to aging with wisdom, grace, and independence. If you haven't already, I encourage you to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Your support helps me keep bringing you valuable content. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and share it with friends who could benefit from these important lessons. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1 below. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and provide even better content for you. Now, let's get started. First story: living with your children. My parents, like many others, always envisioned living with one of us when they grew older. They had 2 children, and for years, they held the belief that family unity was the ideal way to navigate the golden years. My younger brother, in particular, took this vision to heart. When he was choosing a life partner, he even factored in how well his potential wife would get along with our parents. He was convinced that by marrying someone who could blend seamlessly into our family dynamic, we would all be able to live together harmoniously under one roof. I watched as my brother went through several relationships, each one ending because our parents didn't approve of his choices. Their reasons ranged from a perceived lack of tradition to concerns about domestic skills. By the time my brother turned 30, he had married a woman who finally met all of our parents' expectations. Everyone thought this would be the perfect match, and for a while, it seemed like it would be. The first impressions were positive, and the hope was that life together would be smooth and easy. However, the reality of living under the same roof soon proved more complicated than expected. As time went on, conflicts arose, particularly due to the generational differences between my parents and my brother's new family. My parents, who had always valued the tradition of daily family meals, felt it was important for everyone to come together at the table. But my brother and his wife, both deeply invested in their careers and social lives, found it increasingly difficult to maintain this tradition. This disconnect led to growing resentment on both sides. My parents felt disrespected and neglected, while my brother and his wife became frustrated by what they saw as outdated expectations. The tension grew even more intense after my sister-in-law gave birth. My mother, deeply rooted in traditional practices, found herself at odds with my sister-in-law, who preferred modern, science-based methods of child-rearing. The disagreements only deepened the rift between them, and soon the household was filled with underlying conflicts. As the situation escalated, my brother found himself caught in the middle, trying to mediate between his wife and our parents. It was an impossible position, and the frustration eventually boiled over into heated arguments. Ultimately, my brother and his wife decided to move out. The dream of a harmonious, multi-generational home shattered. While not all families experience such intense conflict, this story highlights how living together can sometimes lead to misunderstandings, especially when generational differences come into play. For some, the expectations of living together can place undue stress on relationships, and it becomes clear that proximity doesn't always improve familial bonds. On the flip side, there are families like the Davis family, where multi-generational living has been a source of great joy and comfort. Take Bill and his wife, Mary, for example. They live with 18 children and grandchildren in a tight-knit family community in a suburb outside of Chicago. Although they have separate kitchens to maintain some independence, they gather every evening to share meals, stories, and laughter. For Bill and Mary, the greatest reward of living with their children and grandchildren is the peace of mind that comes from seeing their family every day and offering guidance and support. The house is always bustling, filled with the sound of voices and the warmth of togetherness. Even extended family members, who live further away, consider Bill and Mary's home their true refuge, a place to recharge after long, exhausting workdays. The Davis family holds a weekly meeting where everyone shares updates and stories and discusses anything important. This commitment to connection has kept the family bond strong for generations. Bill believes that the emotional rewards of living with his children and grandchildren are immeasurable. For him, the ability to offer advice, be present for family milestones, and simply enjoy the company of his loved ones every day is priceless. Many elderly parents, like Bill and Mary, have a deep desire to live with their children, especially as their health declines and their social circles naturally shrink. The fear of loneliness in old age is very real. However, for others, living with children may not always be the ideal solution. Not all elderly individuals want to live under the same roof as their children, particularly if there is a lack of genuine affection or understanding. Some seniors prefer to live nearby, maintaining their independence while staying close enough for regular visits and assistance when needed. This kind of arrangement can reduce the likelihood of intergenerational conflict while still providing the necessary support and connection that both parents and children need. It allows elderly parents to enjoy the companionship of their family without the pressures of living together full-time. For many, this balance is key to thriving as they grow older. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. In the end, the choice of where to live in your later years is deeply personal. It is not one size fits all, and what works for one person may not be right for another. The most important thing is that the decision is guided by what brings peace, joy, and fulfillment. There is no right or wrong way to age. What matters most is creating a living situation that nurtures independence, preserves dignity, and ensures well-being. Whether you choose to live with your children, live independently, or find a senior community that suits you, the key is to make the choice that aligns with your values and enhances your life. Second story. Finding comfort in independence. Elvira and her husband, Dave, raised 2 children, and like many parents, they imagined that, as they grew older, they would live with one of their children. However, when the time came, Elvira and Dave made a surprising decision that went against the expectations of many. They chose not to live with either of their children, even though both of them lived and worked in Washington, D.C. Elvira and Dave's philosophy about aging had always been rooted in independence. They believed that once their children got married, they should set up their own homes and build their own lives, free from the expectations of living under their parents' roof. This decision was influenced by Elvira's own experience as a daughter-in-law. Having spent years living under the same roof as her in-laws, she understood firsthand the challenges of merging different lifestyles and personalities. When we married, Dave and I had our own space, And I believe that should be the case for every couple, Elvira explained. Living together for too long often leads to conflict. Different generations have different values and routines. With this mindset, Elvira and Dave gently encouraged their children, Max and Olivia, to establish their own homes after they married. They firmly believed that their children would thrive better by creating their environments, free from the complications of multi-generational living. But life didn't always go as planned. 3 years ago, when Max got married, he and his wife, Sarah, found themselves in a bit of a financial bind. They had saved some money, but not enough to purchase a home right away. Faced with limited options, Max asked his parents if he and Sarah could stay with them temporarily until they got on their feet. Elvira, while understanding, set a firm boundary. She agreed to have them stay, but only for 3 months. "It's not about being tough," Elvira said. "It's about thinking about your future. You need to become independent, and too much time together under one roof will only create unnecessary tensions." After 3 months, Max and Sarah had to either buy a home or find a rental. True to their values, Elvira and Dave ensured that their children learned the importance of independence, even amid challenging circumstances. Today, Max lives just 10 minutes away, making his daily commute easy, while Olivia, their daughter, bought an apartment just next to Elvira and Dave's home. Every weekend, the whole family comes together at Elvira and Dave's house for meals, laughter, and cherished family time. It's a balanced and fulfilling arrangement, where everyone enjoys their own space but remains deeply connected. When asked whether they would ever consider moving in with their children as they aged, Elvira and Dave confidently responded, "We plan to sell this house. It's a 4-story home, and we're getting to an age where we need something simpler to manage. Half of the proceeds from the sale will go toward buying a smaller apartment, and the rest will be saved for our retirement. If we ever need help, we'll hire someone or consider moving into a senior community. We don't want to depend on our children." This approach is not unique to Elvira and Dave. Elvira's close friend, Sarah, has made a similar decision to live independently. Despite her 2 grown children, both married and living in the city, urging her to move in with them, Sarah remains firm in her choice to stay in her rural home. "I enjoy living in the countryside," Sarah says. "I have a community of friends, and the freedom here is precious to me. In the city, life is all about rushing, doors opening and closing, people coming and going with little interaction. When I visit my children in the city, I see how robotic their lives have become. They leave in the morning, return late, and spend their evenings isolated behind screens. There's no connection, no real conversation. I would rather keep my village life, where I can socialize, enjoy nature, and feel a sense of peace." Sarah continues, "If I fall ill, I know my children won't be able to provide the kind of care I need 24/7. That's why I've already planned for a caregiver, someone I can hire to help with day-to-day tasks. My children can visit me when they can, but I don't want them to feel obligated to be my caregivers. This is the life I've chosen, and it works for me." These stories reflect a larger shift in the way older generations approach their later years. Increasingly, seniors are choosing to live independently or nearby but not under the same roof as their children. The traditional model of multi-generational households is slowly being replaced by a more independent and self-reliant way of living. Elvira, Sarah, and many others like them have made deliberate choices to maintain control over their lives as they age, even as they offer support to their families when needed. These parents have made peace with the idea of aging separately from their children, setting a precedent early on for how they want their later years to unfold. By the time their children started their own families, Elvira and her husband had already made peace with the idea that independence was key. They have found ways to stay socially connected, travel, and engage in activities that keep them fulfilled, while still maintaining the option to explore senior communities if that time ever comes. They firmly believe that living independently, whether in a smaller home or a senior community, ensures not only a better quality of life for themselves but also a more harmonious experience for everyone involved. Third story. Embracing life as a senior in a nursing home. After the death of her husband, Reem made a bold decision that would surprise her children. She sold her house and used her pension to move into a private nursing home. This decision, while a sign of Reem's independence, shocked her children. They believed that it was not only unusual but somewhat shameful for their mother to choose a nursing home when they were perfectly capable of caring for her. They feared that it might reflect poorly on them, as though they were neglecting their duty to provide for their mother in her later years. Reem, however, explained her reasoning with calm conviction. "I've lived my life," she told her children, "and now I want to live it the way that makes sense for me." She knew that her lifestyle no longer aligned with the fast-paced lives of her children and grandchildren. Their busy schedules meant they were often not home, and living with them would only create inconveniences for both generations. Reem would spend long days alone in an empty house, with no neighbors her age to connect with in her suburban apartment complex. At the nursing home, Reem found herself surrounded by people in similar stages of life. Meals were provided, social activities were organized, and she could visit with her children whenever she wished. The community environment allowed Reem the freedom to live her life without the added stress of being a burden to her family. She could maintain her independence, while still being close to her loved ones. This arrangement not only allowed Reem to thrive, but also allowed her children to feel at ease, knowing she was in a place where she could be well taken care of, both physically and emotionally. At first, Reem's children struggled with guilt. They questioned whether they should have done more to keep her with them. But over time, their concerns faded as they saw how much happier and healthier Reem became in the nursing home. They visited her often and were relieved to see her socializing and enjoying herself. During the holidays, she would spend a few weeks with them, but she always returned to the comfort of her new home. Reem even shared her positive experiences with friends who still lived with their children, encouraging them to consider nursing home living as a viable option. She found joy in a community of peers, and she felt that her life had become richer because of it. Similarly, Mr. James, whom we'll call Mr. S.A., made the difficult decision to move into a nursing home after struggling with his challenges. Mr. S.A. had lost his wife several years before and had planned to continue living alone in his rural home. However, his children, concerned about his health and well-being, urged him to move to the city to live with them. Reluctantly, he agreed, but after nearly 2 years, he began to feel like he was living in a golden cage. The city was bustling and full of life, but he felt isolated and lonely in the apartment, spending most of his time in front of the television with little to no interaction with others. His children, though well-meaning, were busy with their own lives, and Mr. S.A. longed for the companionship and social interaction he had once enjoyed. Living in a busy, modern city, Mr. S.A. found himself feeling more disconnected than ever. Suffering from Parkinson's disease, he saw a television program about nursing homes and decided to research the option online. After exploring the possibilities, he realized that a nursing home could offer him exactly what he needed: care, companionship, and a chance to interact with others who were in similar situations. He asked his children if he could try living in a nursing home for a few months to see how it felt. Although they were initially hesitant, they ultimately agreed, and to everyone's surprise, Mr. S.A.'s health improved. He thrived in the company of other residents and was able to receive the daily care that made living on his own more manageable. After a few months, Mr. S.A. decided to make the nursing home his permanent home. He used his military pension to cover the expenses, and his children, though initially unsure about his decision, were ultimately relieved to see that he was content, well cared for, and no longer burdened with the responsibilities of living on his own. They could visit him whenever they wished, and knowing that he was happy in his new environment brought peace to the entire family. In the past, sending a parent to a nursing home was often seen as a betrayal of family values, a sign of neglect or abandonment. However, this perspective is slowly changing. More and more seniors are choosing to live in nursing homes for a variety of reasons. Some do so because they are alone and want the social interaction that comes with living in a community. Others choose nursing homes because their children are too busy to provide the level of care they need. Some simply want a peaceful, comfortable place to enjoy their later years. The most important thing is that these seniors are making decisions that allow them to live on their own and find happiness in their golden years. Deciding where to spend your later years is a deeply personal choice. There is no one-size-fits-all solution. Each family situation is unique, and what works for one person may not be right for another. The key is to make sure that the choice made is in line with what brings peace and fulfillment to the individual. Whether they choose to live with their children, independently, or in a nursing home, the ultimate goal is to maintain joy, health, and dignity. It's important to remember that aging is not about depending on others, but about finding satisfaction and contentment in each day. Whether at home with family or in a community of peers, the most important thing is that every elderly person has the opportunity to live the life they desire. Part of you if your spouse passes first. Have you ever wondered how you would cope if you lost your spouse? Life is unpredictable, and the loss of a partner can leave you feeling as though the world has turned upside down. The grief can be overwhelming, and it's easy to feel empty and directionless. But what if, instead of just surviving, there were ways to thrive after such a profound loss? In this story, we'll explore the inspiring journeys of 3 individuals who have faced the heart-wrenching pain of losing their spouse and come out stronger, wiser, and more hopeful. They'll share the lessons they've learned along the way, offering valuable insights on how to rediscover hope, independence, and happiness even after the deepest of losses. Misaki, a 69-year-old woman, shared, "Life is unpredictable. You never know how long the person you love will be by your side. Life is like a train journey, and everyone can only accompany you for part of the ride. When they have to get off, you should be grateful for the wonderful moments they shared with you. If someone can walk with you for the entire journey, that's an even greater blessing. But not all love lasts a lifetime. Sometimes illness or unexpected events can part 2 people early." If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. When a spouse passes away, the home suddenly feels empty, as though life has lost its anchor. The routines that once made life feel stable, dinner conversations, shared chores, and quiet evenings together, vanish, leaving behind an immense void. It's easy to feel lost, questioning how to move forward. But the truth is, no matter how painful it may be, time moves on. The person who has passed will not come back, and life must continue. This brings us to the story of Callista, whose journey from despair to hope is a testament to resilience. At 67, she lost her husband, her partner of over 4 decades. After his passing, Callista found herself at a crossroads, unsure how to move forward. "When my husband passed away at 64, I thought I would never find my way again," Callista reflected. "For weeks, I felt like I was just walking through life without purpose. I often thought about following him. The bed seemed so empty without him, and every night I cried myself to sleep, staring at the space where he once lay. It was hard to accept that he was gone." But Callista eventually found clarity amid her grief. "I would look at our old photos, and though I felt sadness, I also remembered how much we had shared. I realized that he wouldn't want me to lose myself in grief. I needed to continue living for both of us. I had to push through the sorrow, living well for him and myself, and finding peace in knowing that he, in another world, would be at peace too." Callista's words offer an important lesson. While grief is inevitable, it's crucial to find a way to continue living. The separation between life and death is one of the most heartbreaking aspects of the human experience, but the living must continue on their journey. No matter how happy the past was, or how deeply we grieve, we can't let the past dictate our future. The beauty of the present, and the hope for the future, must take precedence. When facing the death of a spouse, it's important to take care of yourself, both physically and mentally. Don't let the pain overwhelm you, Callista advises. Take time to heal, to eat well, to walk in the park, to enjoy the things that still bring you joy. It's okay to be sad, but it's also important to keep moving forward. Embrace solitude with grace. Take care of your mind and spirit as if nurturing a delicate flower, and remember that you still have a life to live. Losing a spouse is one of the most difficult challenges any person can face. Callista's story demonstrates that this kind of pain is universal. Grief knows no boundaries. Whether you're young or old, male or female, from any walk of life, the ache of losing someone you love is a shared experience. And by acknowledging this shared sorrow, we can find comfort in knowing we are not alone. But Callista's journey doesn't stop at grief. Her story also highlights the incredible power of resilience. Life throws us curveballs, and some of those will break us. But the human spirit has a remarkable ability to heal and rebuild. Callista found a new purpose in her life, and this became her message to others. The pain may never fully disappear, but you can find a way to thrive again. Life still holds so much potential for joy and meaning. Another key element in Callista's recovery was her focus on self-care and mental health. During the hardest moments of her grief, she made sure to prioritize her health, both physically and emotionally. "I started small," she said. "I focused on simple things, like cooking a meal for myself, joining a book club, or taking long walks. My friends were there for me, and I allowed myself to lean on them. Gradually, I rediscovered the joy in my own life." Memories also played an important role in Callista's healing process. She would often look at the photos and keepsakes her husband had left behind. These memories, though bittersweet, allowed her to keep his presence alive in her heart without letting them prevent her from moving forward. "I kept his memory alive by cherishing the good moments we had. It helped me honor him without staying stuck in the past." Lastly, Callista's experience emphasizes the importance of living in the present. While it's natural to grieve, it's also essential to find joy in the present, she explained. "You can't live in the past forever. The future still holds great promise, and your life is still worth living." Callista's story is a powerful reminder that, though losing a spouse is heartbreaking, it's possible to rediscover purpose and joy. The path forward may be difficult, but with self-care, support, and an open heart, it is possible to heal and embrace the future. It's a lesson in resilience, in the strength of the human spirit, and in the power of self-compassion. The resilience of the human spirit teaches us invaluable lessons about self-care, the healing power of memories, and the delicate balance between the pain of the past and the hope for the future. These themes are beautifully illustrated in Lara's story. Over time, Lara began to notice that the relationship with her daughter and son-in-law wasn't quite what she had imagined. Though initially, they offered support and comfort, living together under the same roof soon generated tension and misunderstandings. Lara began to sense a growing coldness from her daughter, who, despite her good intentions, seemed increasingly impatient with her presence and the dependence that came with living together. At first, Lara thought that moving in with her daughter would be the solution to her loneliness and a way to receive the support she needed as she aged. But as the years passed, she realized that living with her daughter was not bringing her the peace and happiness she had expected. Instead of feeling cared for and supported, Lara felt displaced and often indebted. She found herself unable to contribute financially as she had before, and the feeling of dependence weighed heavily on her. The situation reached a point where the tension between her and her daughter became unbearable, leaving Lara feeling more isolated than ever. That's when Lara decided it was time for a change. The thought of living alone was daunting, but Lara knew she needed to regain her independence. At 65, she made the courageous choice to move out and live on her own. This was not just a decision to live alone, it was an act of self-awareness and empowerment. Lara discovered that while having company is valuable, true inner peace comes from being able to live harmoniously with oneself. She found strength in solitude and freedom, learning to care for herself and no longer relying on others for her happiness. Now, living in her own home, Lara enjoys the quiet satisfaction of independence. She has rediscovered her passions and embraced the solitude that once felt intimidating. For Lara, living alone doesn't mean being alone in spirit. It means finding peace, purpose, and fulfillment within herself. She no longer feels the pressure of living according to someone else's expectations or standards. Lara's story is a powerful reminder of the importance of independence, self-acceptance, and the freedom to live life on one's terms. Lara's journey also offers a profound lesson for anyone facing similar challenges in their later years. When older parents move in with their adult children, differences in values, child-rearing, and financial expectations can create conflicts that strain relationships. Lara's experience highlights how these tensions can erode family bonds and lead to discomfort and disconnection. What seemed like a solution to her loneliness became a source of frustration, and Lara realized that her need for independence and dignity was more important than avoiding conflict. Independence, in Lara's case, was key to maintaining her dignity and emotional well-being. Living under her daughter's roof had made her feel like a burden, which ultimately hurt her self-esteem. By choosing to live on her own, Lara was able to regain control of her life and preserve her sense of autonomy. This decision allowed her to protect her emotional well-being and retain the self-respect that living independently provides. One of the most significant aspects of aging is the opportunity to embrace solitude. Although at first, Lara felt lonely and uncertain, she soon discovered that solitude can be a gift. It allowed her the time and space to rediscover her passions, like calligraphy and painting. She joined local community groups, expanding her social circle and finding joy in new experiences. Instead of depending on others for her happiness, Lara learned to cultivate fulfillment within herself. Lara's story also underscores the value of freedom in retirement. After decades of dedicating herself to family and responsibilities, she finally had the opportunity to live the life she had always wanted. One without pressures, where she could enjoy her interests and the tranquility that comes with living independently. This sense of freedom was liberating, and Lara thrived in her newfound autonomy. Similarly, Mrs. Fawn's story offers another important lesson for those considering new relationships in their later years. At 62, Mrs. Fawn thought she had found comfort and companionship after the death of her first husband. The idea of a new relationship seemed promising. She was eager to leave behind the loneliness that had followed her for years. However, as the relationship progressed, tensions began to emerge. What seemed like a solution to her pain soon became an unexpected challenge. Mrs. Fawn found that the reality of living together with her new partner brought more complications than she had anticipated. Differences in lifestyle, unspoken expectations, and unresolved issues from her past created a rift between them. Instead of the peace she had hoped for, Mrs. Fawn found that her insecurities and fears of rejection were only intensified in her new relationship. Her story offers an important lesson for those considering remarriage or entering new relationships later in life. While companionship is a natural and healthy desire, it's essential to approach new relationships with awareness and caution. Relationships in the later years can bring unexpected challenges, and sometimes the issues of living together, such as disagreements and unmet expectations, are amplified at a stage in life where one has already experienced profound loss. Mrs. Fawn's experience also highlights the importance of self-reflection before entering into a new partnership. After her divorce, she learned that, while companionship is important, it is equally crucial to focus on healing, understanding her desires, and learning to be content with herself before seeking to share her life with someone else. Instead of rushing into a new relationship, she took the time to reconnect with herself and rediscover what truly made her happy. This approach allowed her to avoid the emotional pitfalls that could have hindered her growth and happiness. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Her story is a reminder that, while relationships can enrich our lives, they should never come at the cost of our well-being or self-worth. The final years of life can be a time to focus on personal growth, self-care, and the freedom to live on one's terms, just as Lara did. Through her experience, Mrs. Fawn learned an invaluable lesson about the importance of personal independence and emotional growth in achieving happiness in old age. She realized that, rather than rushing into a new relationship, it was far more important to take the time to understand her desires, heal the wounds of the past, and find fulfillment within herself. While the desire for companionship is natural, Mrs. Fawn discovered that entering a relationship should never be about escaping loneliness. Instead, it should be an opportunity to enhance and enrich an already fulfilling life. "Think about it," Mrs. Fawn said, reflecting on her second marriage. "At first, everything seemed fine, but soon I began to notice that my new husband wasn't as supportive of my interests as I had hoped. He became more controlling, and the friendships I cherished started to seem less important to him. I realized that the more I tried to please him, the less I was able to take care of myself and my own needs. In the beginning, the idea of having companionship felt comforting, but over time, the reality became more difficult. Mrs. Fawn's new relationship, rather than offering peace, began to feel like a trap. She realized that not only had she lost her first husband, but in her quest for companionship, she had sacrificed many of her desires and needs. She found herself in a relationship that no longer brought her happiness. The emotional toll was immense, and the conflicts between them escalated. At some point, I understood that I had compromised so much of myself to make the relationship work, and it had only led to more pain. The promise of a new beginning quickly turned into an emotional burden. Eventually, the relationship ended in a painful divorce. Despite the heartache, Mrs. Fawn took away a powerful lesson. Today, at 62, my lesson is clear. Loneliness can be difficult, but sometimes it's better to learn to live with it than to jump into a relationship that doesn't fulfill your true needs. My experience taught me that we shouldn't rush into important decisions like marriage in our later years without truly reflecting on what we want and need. Her experience with her second marriage also highlighted the complications of blending families later in life. Her new husband, Seno, had children from a previous marriage, and when his son's marriage fell apart, they suddenly found themselves caring for his grandson. At first, Mrs. Fawn took on the role of caregiver, treating the child as her own. But over time, she found herself overwhelmed. The boy was spoiled, picky with food, and threw tantrums. I tried my best, but it felt like nothing was good enough. I finally had to talk to Seno about it. I suggested that his son take the boy back, but Seno was upset and said, "You're not the mother of my grandson, so don't interfere." This comment left Mrs. Fawn feeling deeply offended. It was then that she realized how challenging it can be to be accepted into a new partner's family, especially when you've already lived a lifetime of your own. After enduring months of tension, misunderstandings, and unmet expectations, Mrs. Fawn made the difficult decision to file for divorce. "It was the first time I doubted marriage," she reflected. "I realized that living alone, though it may be lonely at times, is better than dealing with so many complications." The divorce, though painful, was relatively straightforward. Looking back, Mrs. Fawn now believes that her choice to live independently was the right one. "I don't regret it," she said. "Living alone may have its lonely moments, but I no longer feel burdened. I've learned that peace and contentment come from being true to myself and not sacrificing my well-being for the sake of others' expectations." Mrs. Fawn's story is a powerful reminder that in old age, independence, and emotional growth are essential to finding happiness. It's easy to feel pressured to find a new companion or try to create a sense of family when we're facing loneliness. But the key is to first focus on personal fulfillment. Sometimes, the best thing we can do for ourselves is to embrace solitude, rediscover our passions, and create a life that is rich with meaning, whether or not we have a partner by our side. Understanding the challenges and risks of remarriage in old age is crucial, especially for those considering entering a new relationship after losing a spouse. Mrs. Kelly's story exemplifies the complexities that arise when two lives are combined at an advanced age. When you've lived independently for decades, bringing two people together can stir up deeply ingrained habits and viewpoints. These differences, which may have been manageable when younger, can become more pronounced as you age. For older individuals, adapting to a new partner's lifestyle and expectations can be a difficult and sometimes painful process. Mrs. Kelly found this to be true when she married again in her 60s. The initial excitement of companionship quickly gave way to conflicts over seemingly simple things, household responsibilities, and travel plans. At first, it seemed like a good fit, Mrs. Kelly said. But soon, we were at odds over things I never expected to cause tension. Our habits were so different. I've spent years doing things my way, and now I had to adjust to someone else's rhythm. It wasn't easy, and it caused a lot of stress between us. Unlike younger couples, older people often bring years of personal routines, values, and established ways of doing things. This can make living together more difficult, as both partners are less likely to adjust quickly. Even small disagreements can become major sources of frustration, leading to strained communication and emotional distance. Another significant challenge Mrs. Kelly faced was the acceptance of her new partner by her family. Her children and grandchildren had already established their routines and expectations, and the arrival of a new partner disrupted that delicate balance. "It was hard for my children to accept him," she shared. "They had their ideas about what should be, and his presence changed the dynamic of our family gatherings. My husband's son and grandson, who lived nearby, brought unexpected attention to the new marriage, and that caused additional tension." This lack of acceptance from her partner's family created a challenging environment for the marriage. The subtle but ever-present tension between family members can strain a relationship, making it difficult for the couple to truly enjoy their time together. When family dynamics aren't aligned with a new union, resentment can build, further complicating the relationship between the couple and their children or extended family. Emotional readiness is another crucial aspect of remarriage in older age. After losing a spouse, the desire for companionship and the fear of being alone can drive someone to seek comfort quickly. However, rushing into a new relationship without emotional healing can lead to decisions that aren't in one's best interest. Mrs. Kelly learned this the hard way. Despite her son's recommendation to take time and reflect on what she truly needed, she rushed into marriage. "I was lonely," Mrs. Kelly admitted. "I felt the pressure to fill the gap left by my first husband. But I didn't fully understand what I needed emotionally. I thought I was ready, but I was just seeking comfort. Looking back, I should have taken more time to heal and think about what I wanted from a partner." Rushed decisions often fail to consider important warning signs, which can lead to disappointment. Mrs. Kelly's quick decision to marry without fully understanding her emotional needs eventually led to another divorce. It became clear that emotional readiness is key to building a lasting relationship, especially later in life. The healing process after a loss is vital, and taking time to reflect on one's needs and desires can prevent hasty choices that might bring more complications in the future. Lastly, financial and legal complications are common in remarriages for older individuals. Issues such as inheritance, healthcare decisions, and the division of assets can create significant stress. Though Mrs. Kelly's story doesn't delve into these areas, they are crucial considerations when remarrying later in life. The blending of finances, property, and even caregiving responsibilities can create tension if not addressed carefully. Legal issues surrounding estate planning and healthcare decisions must be considered thoughtfully to avoid misunderstandings down the road. Part 3. How to live independently and safely in the golden years. As we grow older, the desire to maintain our independence and live life on our terms often remains strong. The freedom to live in our own space, make our own decisions, and pursue personal interests can be incredibly fulfilling. Living alone offers many benefits, such as increased autonomy, the opportunity to enjoy a sense of control over our daily routines, and the ability to engage in activities that bring us joy. However, embracing this lifestyle requires careful planning and preparation to ensure safety, well-being, and long-term health. In this guide, we'll explore practical advice for older adults looking to live independently and safely. Prioritizing health and well-being. Health is the foundation for a fulfilling life at any age, but it becomes especially crucial as we grow older. Regular medical checkups are essential to catch any potential health issues early and keep them under control. Keeping track of medications, managing chronic conditions, and following your doctor's recommendations can significantly enhance your quality of life. A balanced diet, full of nutritious foods, plays a vital role in maintaining energy levels, supporting the immune system, and preventing illness. Regular physical activity, even in smaller amounts, can improve mobility, maintain strength, and enhance mental health. In addition to maintaining a healthy lifestyle, it's important to take proactive steps to prevent injuries. Falls are one of the leading causes of injury in older adults, so making your home as safe as possible is essential. Start by clearing hallways and removing obstacles that could cause tripping. Installing grab bars in the bathroom, particularly near the toilet and in the shower, can provide much-needed stability and confidence. Additionally, ensuring that your home is well lit, particularly at night, can help prevent accidents. Building and maintaining social connections. Living independently doesn't mean living in isolation. Social connections are key to maintaining a positive outlook and emotional well-being. Whether it's joining a local club, participating in community events, or volunteering, staying socially active can prevent loneliness and offer meaningful interactions. Spending time with friends and family is another way to enrich your life and feel supported. Having a social network provides not only companionship but also a safety net in case of emergencies. In today's digital age, technology can be an excellent tool for maintaining connections. Staying in touch with loved ones via phone, video calls, or social media can bridge the gap if physical visits aren't always possible. Additionally, using the internet to stay informed on current events, local services, and health resources helps you remain engaged with the world around you. Financial planning for peace of mind. Managing finances becomes even more important as we age, particularly when living independently. Having a solid financial plan is key to maintaining independence and avoiding financial stress. Start by creating a realistic budget that includes daily expenses, medical costs, and potential future needs. Saving for emergencies is critical, as unexpected costs can arise, such as health issues or home repairs. Consider setting aside an emergency fund to cover these situations without worry. It's also wise to think about long-term care options. If you're planning to stay at home for the foreseeable future, long-term care insurance can provide peace of mind if you require assistance later in life. Regularly reviewing your finances and adjusting your budget as necessary will help you stay on track and ensure you have the resources you need for the future. Ensuring home safety. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment below to let me know that you are still here with me. Creating a safe home environment is crucial for independent living. Start by installing smoke detectors on each floor and having a fire extinguisher within reach. An emergency kit containing essentials such as first aid supplies, a flashlight, and a phone charger should be easily accessible in case of emergencies. It's important to maintain your home regularly to avoid potential hazards. Check for broken stairs, loose railings, and faulty wiring, and make repairs as needed. Keeping your living space well maintained helps ensure it remains safe and comfortable. If you're concerned about accessibility, consider making changes to your home that will allow you to move freely and safely. Adding ramps or widening doorways to accommodate mobility aids like wheelchairs or walkers is an excellent way to enhance your living space. A medical alert system can also provide added security, giving you peace of mind that help is just a button press away, whether it's for a fall or a health emergency. Embracing technology for convenience and safety. Advancements in technology can make independent living easier, safer, and more convenient. Smart home devices, such as thermostats, lighting controls, and security cameras, can be operated from your smartphone, helping you manage your home more efficiently. Voice-controlled devices, like Amazon Alexa or Google Assistant, allow you to control music, set reminders, and even make phone calls with just a few spoken words. Telehealth services are another fantastic resource for independent living. You can consult with doctors, schedule appointments, and even monitor chronic conditions from the comfort of your home, reducing the need for in-person visits and keeping you in control of your healthcare. However, it's important to be cautious about scams, especially online. Always ensure that any technology you use is safe and secure. Maintaining a positive attitude. Perhaps one of the most important aspects of living independently is maintaining a positive attitude. Aging comes with its challenges, but focusing on what you can still do rather than what you can't is essential to thriving in later life. Surround yourself with positive influences and engage in activities that bring you joy. Whether it's gardening, reading, painting, or walking in nature, pursue hobbies that make you feel fulfilled and connected to the world. Embrace the beauty of aging by accepting your journey and taking pride in the life you've lived. Independence doesn't mean living without support. It means living on your terms, with confidence, dignity, and a sense of purpose. Thank you so much for joining us in this journey through the challenges and joys of aging with independence. We've covered a lot today, from maintaining your health and well-being to finding the right balance between companionship and personal growth. From practical advice on home safety and financial planning to the lessons learned from other experiences, we hope you feel empowered to take control of your golden years. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What have you learned so far? What's one thing from today's video that you're excited to put into practice in your own life? Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. We truly value your input and want to continue this conversation with you. If you like this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support helps us create more content that empowers you to live your best life, no matter your age. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.